All right, well, welcome everyone to Local Government Leads the Way to Empowering Communities for Sustainable Living. Without a doubt, it's always been the case that local units of government, such as townships, cities, and counties, will be the most effective level of government in leading the change of transforming existing housing stock to ensure more equitable access to home energy improvements and overall sustainability goals, and meeting those. Recently, for example, we've been working with a pilot program in Grand Rapids, Michigan, called the EH0. That's Equitable Health Zero Carbon, to pilot the idea of using braided funds to help people struggling financially to lower their utility bills and live healthier. There are countless examples across the US and the world of unique partnerships and programs underway to transform local communities. So today I'm excited to focus on two programs from both a city and a county perspective that have inspired me and hope to inspire you, that you can take back to your local community as well, and make change. So before we get into that, we wanted to do our membership spotlight as we always do, and wanted to give a huge congrats to the city of Ann Arbor, Michigan, who was recently awarded a DOE grant to expand ground source heat pump district scale technology to a local neighborhood. In addition to this, in November, their citizens overwhelmingly voted for a sustainable energy utility. And with this, their home energy disclosure policies, home energy advisory program, and rebates, we are proud to have Ann Arbor serve as a supporting member of the Green Home Institute. Julie Roth, their energy manager and Office of the Sustainability and Innovations and recent GHI board member, will be jumping on the Q&A a little bit later. You know, this is who Green Home Institute members are. This is what Green Home Institute members do. So can you learn more and support us at greenhomeinstitute.org, become a member. And this year, we just wanted to say how thankful we are and grateful we are for our nearly 400 supporting members. We're almost there. Our 1% for the Planet donors and all of our sponsors who support our work and offer products and services to help advance residential green building, such as Rheem with decarbonized affordable water heating, Build Equinox with demand-controlled smart ventilation, and Panasonic, just to name a few. We're very grateful for them. All right. And as we get started, just a reminder, this session is brought to you by the Green Home Institute. The Green Home Institute is a nonprofit with a mission to empower people to make healthier and more sustainable choices in the renovation and construction of the places we live. Today, I will be your moderator. My name is Brett Little, and I am the education manager here. This course is approved, as many of our courses are, for multiple continuing education units, including all 5 pillars of residential green building, energy, health, water, materials, and place. AIA LU only, but may make it applicable to your state-based design or contractor license. So with that, I want to welcome our speakers. Andrew Reynolds here, the Community Energy Services Manager at Holland, Michigan, Board of Public Works, and Tiara Lester, the Sustainability Program Administrator at Frederick County, Maryland. Welcome to you both, and Tiara, please kick it off and take it away.
Thank you, Brett. Perfect. Thank you. All righty. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tiara Lester, and as Brett mentioned, I am the Sustainability Program Administrator with Frederick County Government. I'm excited to share with you all what we're doing in Frederick County, Maryland to support households living more sustainably, and specifically a bit more information about the Green Homes Challenge. So for those that who may not be familiar with Frederick County, Maryland, we are the largest county by land area in the state of Maryland, made up of urban, suburban, rural, and even mountain communities. We are also one of the fastest growing counties in Maryland. This growth has enhanced our diversity, and our population of over 293,000 people come from a broad spectrum of cultures, backgrounds, and lived experiences. And in 2022, our county executive, Jessica Fitzwater, established 3 core values of her administration: inclusion, sustainability, and accountability. And my division's work really embraces these priorities. Our mission within the Frederick County Division of Energy and Environment is to empower Frederick County with resilient, equitable solutions to environmental challenges, and we partner with the community to mitigate climate risk, enhance watershed quality, modernize energy systems, and ensure that sustainability is for everyone. In order to achieve that goal, we work through two main departments. Our stormwater department works to improve our community's quality of life, defend from climate-driven flooding, and contribute to the health of the Chesapeake Bay ecosystem. This department also ensures regulatory compliance through cost-effective decisions that provide the greatest community and environmental benefit. Our climate and energy department works in support of county and regional goals to address climate change and to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in accordance with local, state, and federal targets, while also increasing Frederick County's energy independence, provides economic opportunity and technological advancement, improves the resiliency of our county operations, and attracts federal and state funding. And then housed within our climate and energy department is our sustainability and environmental equity team, which recognizes that the impacts of climate change and environmental hazards are not distributed equally and works to ensure that our programs and services understand and meet the needs of everyone in our community. This team is also where the Green Homes Challenge lives, which brings me to my next slide. The Green Homes Challenge was essentially created over 10 years ago. And it was created through leveraging multiple funding sources to include funding from the U.S. Department of Energy, Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, the Maryland Energy Administration, and then the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development. And the Green Homes Challenge is essentially an online tool that is no cost to sign up for, that provides residents a way to learn environmentally friendly actions and behaviors, ways to track that information, and a way to get recognized for their efforts. So how essentially does it work? The Green Homes Challenge, as I mentioned, it's completely online. It is a self-guided tool. This program offers tips, tricks, actions, and behaviors that work with a person's budget, schedule, and ultimate goals. Some actions are quick, easy, and cost nothing, while others may take a bit more thought, time, or initial investment. And individuals are really able to choose which steps to take on their path to sustainability. There are 3 certifications that can be achieved through the Green Homes Challenge. These are being a power saver, being a green leader, and being a renewable star. And so engaging in the Power Saver Challenge allows residents to reduce their household's energy use and improve the comfort of their home. Our Power Saver households are using up to 40% less electricity than when they started the program and are able to see a direct utility bill savings. Households that engage in the Green Leader Challenge it allows residents to conserve valuable resources, reduce their environmental impact, and really create a healthy home. And engaging in the Renewable Star Challenge allows residents to learn about renewable energy for power, heating, cooling, or generating hot water, and adopt clean renewable energy such as wind, solar, geothermal, community solar, or sustainable biomass. So we intentionally made the Green Homes Challenge as easy as possible for residents to participate. So here I've laid out kind of the steps that's needed to be considered a participating household. The first step is to sign up for a free account. Second is finding actions within each of those challenge buckets that meets an individual's budget, schedule, or goals. The third is adding the actions to their actions to-do list for the actions and behaviors that individuals are interested in. The fourth is actually doing the work, so completing the actions, doing the behaviors. And then last, as participants complete actions, each action has an associated number of points. These points are added up, and once a threshold of points is met, a participant becomes a certified household in that specific challenge. So speaking of actions, there are over 100 different actions and behaviors that participants can complete and earn points. Some of these categories of actions and behaviors can include challenge specific under Power Saver, Green Leader, Renewable Star. It can include renter friendly actions, actions that are the most popular, such as actions and behaviors that a lot of our households are completing, actions that are free and easy, actions and behaviors that are community focused, and then actions and behaviors that are related to heating and cooling. And as you can see on this slide, that on the right, that there are so many more actions and behaviors and tips and tricks and categories that exist outside of the ones I described. Now, why do we want individuals to do this? Really, the direct environmental and economic impact that it makes. Here is some of the statistics that show from the participating households what impact they're making on Frederick County. So to start off with, we have over 2,600 participating households, and they have collectively over 45 million total gallons of water are saved each year. There are 17,000 tons of carbon dioxide emissions reduced per each year. 175,000 total gallons of gasoline are saved each year. 217 square feet of impervious area has been reduced. 5,000 pounds of sediment pollution are reduced each year. And this is really what my personal favorite statistic is. Each year, collectively, these households are saving over $1.6 million each year. So the Green Homes Challenge was was like the foundation, and now is part of the Green Homes program, which is a hub of initiatives that work together to help ensure sustainability is attainable for all households in Frederick County. So this is accomplished through four main pillars. The first is our Green Compass initiative. This program employs navigators, staff, and trained partners who connect residents with available resources and services through one-on-one support. The Green Compass Navigator really plays a crucial role in reducing barriers, working closely with individuals to assess their needs, including household income, family size, and identifying specific challenges they may face, such as weatherization, solar, or home repairs. The navigator then helps match residents with the appropriate program or resource, offering assistance with applications and ensuring they get connected to the right resource. And these programs and resources can include whole home energy efficiency, home repairs, federal and state tax credits, rebates, and volunteer opportunities. This initiative also serves as a community education tool, hosting events in schools, churches, and local organizations to spread awareness about sustainability and available resources. The second initiative is our Green Partnerships program. Green Compass's success is made possible by working hand in hand with more than 50 formally recognized green partners. This program demonstrates the power of collaboration and building partnerships with other organizations to extend our reach, whether it's providing support for community events, making referrals to other service partners, or sharing information about our programs. These partnerships are essential in ensuring that we engage as many residents as possible and make sustainability relevant to their reality. As I mentioned before, the third is our Green Homes Challenge, which we understand is our online and self-guided tool. And then last but certainly not least are our green incentives. We understand that cost can be a barrier to sustainability, right? Especially for families with limited financial resources. That's why we've developed green incentives. These are grant-funded initiatives designed to reduce or offset the cost of transitioning to a more sustainable lifestyle. For example, our Power Saver Retrofits program offers no-cost whole home energy efficiency upgrades to low and moderate income households. In addition, we offer appliance replacement rebates. These rebates cover up to 65% of the cost of replacing old appliances with Energy Star certified models. And for homeowners with septic systems, we also offer a $75 rebate for regular septic pumping, promoting healthier homes and better environmental stewardship. And that is all I have for you today, but I wanted to thank you all for the opportunity and your time this afternoon, and I will pass it over to Andrew.
Thank you. All right, hello everyone. My name is Andrew Reynolds. I'm the Community Energy Services Manager with the City of Holland's Board of Public Works. Hello to all the Hope College super fans out there in the chat. My goodness, a lot of Holland representation out there. I'm here to talk about the Home Energy 101 program that the City of Holland has. We think it's relatively innovative, and so wanted to share the benefits that it has for both me as someone who runs efficiency programs for a utility, but also the benefits that it has for you if you were a resident of Holland, and I think it has a lot of benefits for people who just participate in the program as well. So that's what we're going to go over today. A quick overview of who we are, and then some of the old programs that we had that got us to this point, I think is important to do, because I think a lot of people have kind of long-standing energy efficiency programs, and it's like if it's working, why fix it? But I think we had a pretty good example of one where it wasn't working very well, at least not for everybody in our community, and we needed to find a way to upgrade or improve it. So, and then how we measure that success, what our next steps are, and then how we can share this experience that we've had beyond just webinars like this. So Holland BPW, we're over here on the west side of Michigan. In the black outline is the city of Holland. And then the yellow area is BPW's electric service territory. BPW is a municipal utility. So if you know Michigan utilities, you probably know Consumers and DTE and some of the big investor-owned utilities. So we are a municipal utility, which gives us a little more flexibility on some of our energy efficiency programs. But I will say, Home Energy 101 that I'll talk about today, you don't have to be a utility, you don't have to be a city. This is for any community that wants to have kind of a partnership-driven energy efficiency program. We think this fits any model that's out there. It just might impact where your funding's coming from to actually do these home visits and pay out potential rebates if you want to go that route. So don't tune out if you're not a utility, or if you're in a small community that doesn't have some of these resources. I think there's opportunities here to make this work for anybody. One last agency I want to mention while we're looking at the map here is that we do have a 501c3 that the City of Holland created called Holland-area Fund. Again, that's not something you need to make these programs work, but kind of a unique situation that Holland did decide to go ahead with, in large part because of an on-bill loan program that we were some of the first in the state to use a couple of years ago. And that was the mechanism for kind of controlling those incentives and on-bill programs. So just keep going with the background slides here, so bear with me, but a lot of alphabet soup. I won't go through all these now, but just basically keep in mind when I say BPW, that's us, the Board of Public Works. Also probably refer to the City of Holland because we are a department of the city. So Dan Broersma, my counterpart at the City of Holland, who's their sustainability manager, isn't able to be on the call today, but he and I kind of run these programs primarily as a collaboration between he and I, and then obviously our staff. And then the program I'll refer to most often today is our Home Energy 101, but if I accidentally say HE 101, that's what I'm talking about. So just real briefly on what Holland used to have and why we've decided to move away from that. So we've had a community energy plan for a little over 12, 13 years at this point. We've been very proactive in trying to reduce Holland's carbon emissions. And the way we tried to do that coming out of the gate when that plan was initiated was to go for deep energy retrofits for our residential building stock. So this was focused primarily on single family homes, spending over $10,000 on energy efficiency. And then the City of Holland and Holland-area Fund would give them a grant to offset those costs. What we found just in the last couple of years when Dan and I kind of started in our positions at roughly the same time, looking back at the numbers, we were seeing dwindling participation. I mean, obviously part of that was the start of the pandemic, but it was also kind of dipping down even before that. The residents in town who had $10,000 to spend on energy efficiency, we kind of felt like had found this program and used it. But it was also starting to get kind of skewed in its intent, and it was ending up funding things more like window replacements rather than insulation, air sealing, and some of the other big, more effective for the money kind of energy impacts. It was also largely contractor based. So it relied on a contractor coming out and doing a BPI certified audit. But then in a lot of cases, that same contractor giving you, the resident, a report and an indication of what you needed that, oh, just so happens that same contractor sold those measures. And so in a lot of cases, that was truly what the resident needed, but there was a perceived bias there, understandably. and it made it hard because they were these third-party contractors to get them in for training and updates on things we wanted them to be promoting as they were out and about in the community. So that was where we were starting from. So the big challenges obviously then were the amount to spend was high, and we were excluding a whole lot of the population just by not making this really available to renters widely. It was available to landlords in a form, but that's obviously difficult to do. So that's where the impetus for Home Energy 101 came from. And the 101 number there is intentional. It's on purpose. It's to indicate this is kind of an entry level education program. You don't need a lot of advanced knowledge to just participate in this. And we're going to be focused mainly on educating you, not necessarily requiring that you spend anything to participate. So what's kind of the unique piece of this, I think, is the nonprofit partnerships that we have. So if you'll recall, the past program was based on auditors, contractors, and again, not to diminish their value in energy efficiency programs in any way, but one of the things that we wanted to do was, first of all, make this program available to everybody and also make it as trusted as possible coming out of the gate. And so what we decided to do to make that possible was to reach out to the local nonprofit community in town here in Holland. And I'm sure a lot of you will recognize or at least see parallels to agencies in your own communities here. So like we have the local weatherization agency here for Ottawa County as a partner. We have Habitat for Humanity. We have some of these other ones that are neighborhood partners. And then obviously Green Home Institute. Brett was very helpful at the outset of kind of doing some training for these partners. We just said, what could we do if we gave them, half to even a little bit less than a full day of training on home energy science? How helpful would that be for them, those people, to go out in the community and do the education rather than doing it from a contractor? Because if you're coming from Community Action Agency or from Habitat, you're not walking in the door trying to sell that customer anything. And so already their guard can be lower. And even better, maybe they already know your agency from either living in that neighborhood or from working with you for many other services that those agencies provide. So we wanted to try and build it around trust, and that's how we decided to do it. And so to enhance that even more, the resident themselves is choosing which agency to actually come out and do their visit. If there's some scheduling conflict or something for a particular partner, we'll give them another chance to choose, but in most cases, this has worked out pretty well. And it's naturally spread itself very interestingly kind of between the partner agencies. So it hasn't been one just running away with all the visits. But so for in this example, if the resident chooses Habitat for Humanity, what happens next? We also, like I said, wanted to make sure this was available to everyone. So this is now homeowners, renters, or landlords, condos, every example of a BPW electric customer on the residential side can do this program. And so you reach out, you sign up on our website, you pick your agency, and then they reach out to you and schedule the visit. They're coming out to your home in person for up to an hour, sometimes a little longer, depending on the size of the home. Sometimes could be 30 minutes if it's a small apartment. But they're going through a number of things with you in that time, not just a walkthrough, kind of writing their own report. They're talking to you, they're having a conversation. Because we're the electric utility, we have at least an easy means of getting their electric use history. When they sign up, they're releasing a couple of past years and a couple of future years that we can kind of keep circling back to them with their progress. And then we work with the local gas utility on that data release as well to collect that natural gas use history for the same time frame. So giving a resident a chance to see that, which normally on your printed bill you're seeing about a 12-month history. So this is kind of nice to see over time where you've been. It's also comparing you to where you are versus the other people on your street. So giving you that kind of keeping up with the Joneses impact of, well, why is my home using so much if it's the same size as everyone else on the street? And then you can have that conversation with your educator about why they might think so based on what they see in the house. We give our educators some training on how to use them, but then obviously then the thermal camera itself is a pretty impactful tool, especially in a climate like Michigan. A lot of months out of the year, we can show a lot of good information with that. We give them a whole folder of various flyers on programs, on rebates, on things that might apply to them based on what the educator sees in the home, including the programs from those nonprofit partners. So not just the Habitat flyer if they're going out, but they're also getting the flyer about weatherization, about other programs that might apply to them. And then finally, after the visit's done in the next week or two, they're getting a full report that includes tips, includes the findings, pictures, things that the educator thought were the most important to give to that resident. They're using a template, so from the educator perspective, this is only the information that they fill out during the walkthrough. It's going into a Google form, and from there, their time commitment is pretty limited. It's a pretty short commitment for that partner, but they get to still have this nice value add and kind of connection to a potential new client for their nonprofit. I don't think I worded it anywhere else on the slides, but we currently are reimbursing the nonprofit partners $200 per visit, regardless of the size of the home. That was just kind of the number we picked out, not entirely out of the air when we started, but we knew a more technical audit would certainly be more than twice that. And wanted to still value their time for doing the scheduling and the visit itself. So that number's been effective to recruit new nonprofits, but I can't say we won't need to change it at some point, higher or lower, to reflect changes in the program. That's where we are right now. Also after the visit, so educator leaves, but they've noted what this home needs in terms of that report. You're also going to get a box in the mail of free measures. So a lot of utilities do kits in the mail. So you'll get the same thing regardless of what your home is, where you live. I don't like those in general. I don't want materials to be wasted or unused. And so the idea of this was more of a, what exactly does the educator see that you need in your home? And that's what you get in this box. But it's not just a couple light bulbs. It's things like shower heads, pipe wrap. It could be things like a programmable thermostat if you actually don't have one of those. It does still include up to 30 or more light bulbs if you need LEDs, but only if you need them. And then other measures that aren't commonly in any utility kits, whether it's gas or electric. So cans of spray foam, tubes of caulk or boxes of rope caulk, things like that that are a little bit more difficult to incentivize from a utility from a purely energy savings, meeting your goals perspective. But from a what can you as a homeowner do to take low cost action, we want to put those things in their hands, even if they've never used them before. So really all told, that resident, when you add up the materials and the value of that educator's visit and time, they're really getting about $500 of value for free from this program. So the only problem with adding new programs is it starts to get confusing with your other programs. So we realized pretty quickly we were going to have some problems. On our own website, we had names of programs that didn't actually exist because they were typos or kind of mashups of things that other people had thought the name of the program was. So check your website for that. It's bad when you find those kind of things. But we knew the next step once we launched this was to really, okay, now that we've done this, how can we consolidate? What does this help us get kind of trim? And it turns out to be a lot. So this chart here shows kind of the mess of what all of our programs could have done 2 years ago when we launched this Home Energy 101 program. So the programs that are most applicable that we're talking about today are on the left. The service territory or the features of those programs go across the top. And so it's kind of, if there's a check mark, for example, like the BPW Energy Smart program, that's our appliance rebates. Obviously that goes to our whole service territory, and it's just rebates though. That doesn't include any home walkthroughs. So as you can see, there were a lot of things that kind of duplicated each other. And so pretty quickly we were able to kind of cut down on a lot of that additional confusion. So for example, we had a free light bulb program when the state of Michigan allowed LEDs for energy savings. We were able to kind of combine that with Home Energy 101. So people need light bulbs, they can just get them through 101 now. So that program can go away. We made sure that Home Energy 101 was available through our whole service territory, because that allowed us to also get rid of a previously run by the weatherization agency kind of a walkthrough program that was more technical, more BPI kind of based. So already we've trimmed it down quite a bit. the last one that you'll notice that was kind of a disconnect was that our old program, that deep energy retrofit program, was based on grants. So that was something that you applied for, and then based on the scope of work it got, there was a whole bunch of administrative paperwork to get that paid before any work was actually done. So, you know, all the different legalese of clawing it back if the work didn't get done or didn't get done adequately, all that stuff. But that obviously makes a bigger headache for the resident because they're applying for things beforehand. And then they also have to take that same paperwork and apply for things afterward with rebates. And so we said, what if we just don't do grants anymore? We just make it a rebate for doing some of those, to incentivize some of the same things, but also to help us trim down the things that were previously grant eligible, like windows. So making grants into rebates shortens the table, makes it even smaller, and it becomes a lot easier for our team, for these nonprofit partners to go out in the community and actually promote what we're doing and have it be a little bit less confusing. It's still confusing, but it's better. So I mentioned the Holland Energy Fund rebates. This is another time where I want to make sure to emphasize that this is not something that if you were going to start a program like this in your community, you would need to have these. This is a nice to have. Part of the reason that we're able to do this is just because it blends well with the rebates that DPW already offers, but also builds on top of that. So for example, these things that are listed here are the only things that are eligible for rebates. So you don't see windows, you don't see other appliances. We wanted to really focus on things that we really thought the education was leading people towards. So certainly air sealing and insulation. That would normally be a Semco or a gas company rebate measure, but we want to make sure that was included here. They can still get it from Semco, but this is just adding on top of that. Similarly, for the heat pumps and heat pump water heaters, this is actually the exact same rebate that BPW gives for those measures. And so they're effectively doubling their rebate. If you live in the city of Holland and you do Home Energy 101, all of a sudden you've got access to this rebate that for a heat pump could end up being up to $8,000 based on the size of the unit. So easily offsetting the cost difference between a traditional air conditioner and AC or a furnace. Without getting into any of the Inflation Reduction Act tax credits or rebates and all that stuff. It's already a good deal in Holland to do that kind of stuff today, thanks in part to some of these rebates we put in place. So just a summary here of kind of the before and after. So we've, used to be an audit, now just a visit. Used to be any measure on the Michigan Energy Measures database. Sorry, new alphabet soup. But now we just select few. So I've said all these. I'm going to keep moving. The other key benefit, like I said, of putting the rebates for the Holland Energy Fund and Home Energy 101 together with BPW's is it's actually one rebate application for us. It's just basically an additional page. So when you collect that information of like your invoice from the insulation contractor, you're attaching it one time, checking a box that you completed that. And then we look up to confirm that you did Home Energy 101 and you're getting paid. If you're eligible for both, you're getting paid both invoices in one check potentially. So really nice for the resident to do it this way. We're hoping to find ways to incorporate the IRA process into this, but we're still in the early stages of that. So hopefully more to come on that. Going to keep going here on statistics. So kind of that was the program in a large nutshell, but here's kind of what we found data-wise after doing this program for now. We've been about 2 years in. These were the first year stats. They've been pretty consistent. So it's a side-by-side comparison here again from the old deep retrofit program to the current one. Before it was a whole lot longer to apply because of some of that grant administrative stuff I talked about. So the cost to the city and BPW changed drastically as well, because again, if you're not paying a 10 or 20% grant to already a $10,000+ project, your out-of-pocket cost per home is a lot less. The cost of the resident obviously is a big difference too, paying for that deep retrofit versus paying nothing. And so here's where you're going to expect to see a big difference on the energy savings. And this is what kind of blew our socks off, is that there really wasn't. In fact, when we looked at a sample of the homes that had done this a year after they did the Home Energy 101 visit, their electric savings were to the kilowatt hour the same as a sampling of the deep retrofit homes that had done this years prior. The only difference was on the therm savings, and it was only slightly less, as you can see, between 115 versus 75. And that doesn't even account for people who might have electrified something as a result of this program. So we don't know if that 600 kilowatt savings is actually 1,000 and they put in a heat pump water heater. We didn't look at that level of detail. We're just looking at the high level numbers. So from a cost per kilowatt hour saved, at least on an electricity basis, it's a 10-fold difference on what we're actually paying to save that same incremental kilowatt hour saved. And then from the participant's point of view, again, this was the deep retrofit example. Certainly some good savings here, up to like $300 per year. But when they were paying off a $15,000 project on average, that came out to a net of actually paying, $1,500 a year until that loan or that project was paid off. And then contrast that with the new program, only saving $200 on your net energy bills per year, but you have nothing out of pocket. So you're saving that right off the bat. So obviously a big win for the residents. The number of homes or percent of homes that saved electricity in that first year after the Home Energy 101 visit, 72%. Again, not accounting for any beneficial electrification that might have happened. Homes that saved on natural gas was 76%, and homes that saved money on that net difference of electric and gas use was 83%. And we did look at people who didn't do 101, took a sample of that, and that was roughly 50 to 60% saved. For example, like electricity in a year. So there's an incremental difference, but it's if it had been a particularly warm or cold year, we didn't fully account for that. But that was an attempt to do that. This is another spot where it's a benefit I want to pitch to people who do run efficiency programs and rebate programs, is that in our general day-to-day work here promoting electric energy efficiency in our what we call EWR, energy waste reduction programs for the state, we see about 1.5% of our customer population doing a rebate application in any given year. But for those people who've gone through Home Energy 101, it's 18% of those customers do a rebate of any kind in that first year after they do the visit. I think that's getting beyond just the selection bias of people who want to do efficient things or doing them. We're getting into homes where they had no knowledge of these programs beforehand. And once we got there, now they know, now they're doing these actions and actually carrying it forward. Even though they didn't have any out-of-pocket cost requirement, they're going out and buying an Energy Star appliance, or they're doing a heat pump, or some of these bigger projects that would have otherwise been considered deep retrofits. They're still doing some of that. But they're doing it at a much higher pace than our traditional population. So that's been the most exciting part for me, I think, is just seeing the education proof in the pudding kind of there. So 12 times more likely. Where are we going from here? The 101 name kind of implies we're going to keep going in the education. That's always been the intent. And so we have kind of a pilot, or we're calling a pilot right now, like a 201 program, where we're kind of saying, okay, we gave you some free materials and we want to try to motivate you to do this yourself, but who out there needs help actually installing this stuff? Whether it's income based, whether it's physical ability, just confidence in getting this stuff in. And so we're looking at, we've started with about 10 or 12 homes so far, just kind of going back through with a contractor and actually getting this stuff installed for them. And then going a little bit beyond with some more, not just one can of spray foam, for example, but if they need a rim joist sealed, we're sealing the rim joist kind of stuff. Doing blower doors before and after to kind of make sure we're gaining some data and understanding on how, again, that kind of cost per energy saved, what is this going to end up being, and do we need to tweak this 201 concept going forward? The piece that I mentioned briefly before that's still a big wild card, and how either the 201, the 101, or heck, even potentially a 301 program would work right now is the Inflation Reduction Act rebates. We were kind of expecting a blower door to be required, but it doesn't sound like that's going to be the case. And so perhaps us doing a blower door in 201 doesn't actually set people up any better for an IRA process than what we thought it might. So we might have to readjust in what we're doing. Holland is one of 2 utilities in the state of Michigan right now, kind of in charge of helping the state soft launch their IRA program. So we've been in on the ground floor of kind of giving our feedback on how our 101 program could kind of help set people up for success with the IRA. We expect that to be the case, but more to come on that. I'm sure we'll probably need another webinar here to talk about how that process goes a couple months from now. Then finally here, wrapping up, just ways that we want to share our experience beyond just telling people in forums like this. We've intended, as we've built this program, to make it as flexible to other communities as possible. So again, you don't need to have a municipal utility to make this work. You don't need a Holland Energy Fund 501c3 to make this work. Those help, but it's not a requirement. So as an example of that, like we got $100,000 state of Michigan grant recently that's paying for a lot of these Home Energy 101 and 201 visits. And that could have been a grant application from any community, in the country to any, similarly guided kind of grant program. It was, here's what we do and why we're doing it this way. And that's a very fundable kind of project, we think, that would apply in a lot of other places. Something else, though, that we've been able to develop kind of just by sheer luck and a nice partnership with the University of Michigan's Graham Sustainability Institute is that they actually had a grad student help us write a full guidebook for how implementing a Home Energy 101 type program might work in a community other than Holland. And so that's linked right there. You can also find it just by Googling that. And here's some screenshots from what that guidebook covers. So it's giving you the administrative steps of how you would set this up, kind of how to talk to nonprofits, how to talk to partners, what kind of energy supplies do you need to build a kit for someone to go into a home. Giving you lots of links out. So if there's links, it's a lot of times that's going out to something like our shared Dropbox area where we actually got training materials, kind of scripts for educators when they're doing walkthroughs of homes, all that kind of stuff's out there. We're not trying to hide anything. Same lines. We're giving you our actual budget that we spent to set this up. So you've got a lot of resources here to kind of see how we did it. You can obviously tweak it, but we didn't want to just say, hey, this is a great program, you should do it too. We wanted to give you more of the meat of how that can happen. And thanks to the U of M partnership, we've actually, this is the first guidebook I've seen like this. And it's hopefully a really good resource for people. So, and like I said, there's the links to the actual training that we have that we give to our educator partners. That's, you can go and look at those slides the first day you look at this guidebook. And so then you could obviously then take slides in and take them out based on what you want to do with your community and what you want to emphasize, your rebates or applicable things like that. But yeah, open source here. So that's that for Holland. I think I took more than my share of time. I hope I left enough for questions for us and for Maryland. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Thanks again, Tier. We got some time for questions for sure. And I guess, Tier, I want to kick it over to you first, and then Andrew, you can let me know if you see anything relevant with your program too on this. But I think, Tier, the questions were kind of looking at just your program and how it extends to the landscaping. Because it's a green program, looking at stormwater mitigation or drought tolerant plantings or any of that, like how does that, interact? Are there incentives you have that you point to there? How does that work out?
Yes, great question. And so the Greenhouse Challenge is a really cool program because it bridges between our climate and energy functions and our stormwater functions. And so a lot of the information from our stormwater side to make sure that our watersheds are healthy and have a high quality, make sure our bay ecosystem is good, all directly fed and inform the Green Homes Challenge. And so we definitely have an emphasis on native plants and native species. One of our actions is actually removal of invasive species from an individual's yard. So we do prioritize, any way to have a positive impact on our environment.
Yeah. Andrew, is there anything in the 101 either now or that kind of gets out to the exterior of the home and has an impact, or can you tell me this about that?
Yeah, we certainly give the educators some knowledge on some of the more passive ways to reduce energy use in the home, which includes landscaping and things like tree planting, orientation of your home, things like that. So no rebates related to it yet, but certainly some education content there.
Yeah. Some of the other questions coming in, I'm going to kind of bundle them together, is really thinking about the demographics of who you're serving. And there's a couple different ways I want to look at that question. So let's just first start with one I see about, renters versus homeowners and how they can interact with this program, and what you see or what challenges exist between the sort of the term's escaping my head now, but it's the issue you run into where basically, the landlords are the ones really in charge of investing. So obviously a renter doesn't have a benefit of investing into infrastructure, and how you bridge that gap. So Tira, I'll give it to you first. So.
Yeah, so for the Green Homes Challenge, we do have specific tasks that are renter friendly, specific actions that don't impact the structural integrity of a home or of a rental property, unless they get the individual would have to get approval, like, oh, can I plant this tree? But now our programs that may have like replace appliances and stuff, or they do have to have a landlord. Part of our application process is having landlord approval. In our experience, we don't typically have pushback from the landlords just because all of our initiatives are grant funded. And so the landlords don't have to pay anything. They get this free upgrade for their rental property, and they usually don't push back on that.
Sure. Great.
Yeah, for us, similarly, we've got the measures you might get in the box as a renter might be a little different because we're not going to assume that you can just spray foam whatever you want to spray foam. But we still have the program open to landlords, and we encourage people who do rent to say, hey, bring this program to your landlord, and they can still get the same rebate if they have to update a furnace or heat pump, that kind of thing in the future. So
Yeah. And then continuing on again, kind of on that demographics thought, and to you, Tara, first, again, just considering how you're ensuring, I guess, equitable access to the program. I know in the past there's been studies, reports just about you more on the utility programs in general across the country. I'm not picking on any particular utility, about people, who really need it the most aren't getting access to it. It's not benefiting them. So, just looking at, levels of income or, racial demographics, whatever that may be, how are you ensuring everyone's, getting access, or what challenges are there?
Yeah, great question. So in perspective to the challenge, being that it's free and we do have our promotional materials translated into different languages. We partner with our local diverse and multicultural community organizations, and they share and disseminate the information. They also help to translate an application into a native language because, for example, weatherization translated to a Hispanic language doesn't usually compute the same. So just having that interpretation is very helpful. Having the partnerships is very helpful because, at least from our experience, one challenge is trust. And what I find is partnering with our nonprofit partners, our community organizations who already have trust established, has been very successful for us reestablishing that trust and getting individuals that may have been historically underserved more involved.
Yeah, I will say, yeah, I have heard Casa Verde hasn't translated the same way. So, and Andrew, how about with Holland?
Yeah, we try and do a mix of marketing materials. We've done direct mail because we know that we're not getting everybody with, utility newsletter emails and things like that. And we've had the same success with translation. I think the other thing too is just having the nonprofit partners themselves be involved, is that's that many more voices talking about it to those populations that we need to reach. And so we've seen some of those dots able to connect with someone who might not have otherwise found us, but they found us because the partner they went to for something else said, "Oh, do you know about this energy program that would impact you?" So
Yeah. Yeah, and that's, one, I guess, difference at least I'm noting in not that we're trying to compare the programs, we're just giving everyone different ideas here, but on the Holland side, you have these sort of ideally community-based entities going out, promoting it, going into people's homes, whereas perhaps on the Green Homes Challenge here, it's really more sort of self-driven. So I want to ask you kind of two opposite questions here. Tara, what are there are there external resources or champions out there or people who, say, "Hey, I'm an advocate for this program. I'm going to show you how to use it and benefit from the most." Do you see that happening in your community?
Yes, yes. We through our so all of our Green Homes program initiatives
Mm,
kind of work together, right? So our green partnerships and our green partners are really pivotal in being that champion for us and for the programs and sustainability and overall in Frederick County.
yeah.
And so, for example, we have an organization in Frederick called Centro Espanol, and they support our Hispanic population in Frederick, Maryland. And they they essentially will suggest programs. They've gone through the programs like the Green Homes Challenge. They signed up for it, they did it, and they're able to explain to
Mm,
people. For some of our other grant incentive programs, we have individuals from example Centro Espanol that have gone through the program and they were a champion. They were like, wow, I saved $750 a year on my utility bills. And so we do have champions from participants or from the individual partners as well.
yeah. And so I guess the flip question for you, Andrew, is where, people who may uh go, "Look, I'm gonna kind of try to figure this out on my own." Right before they get anyone coming into their home. I understand how that can be. What resources have been provided or what challenges are there from the City of Holland and BPW for that?
before they even, if they never did a one-on-one visit, you mean?
Yeah, like maybe they just want to like try to figure it out right before they do that. How would that work? Is there anything that you have available?
Yeah, I mean, we try again with some of our other just general education, energy efficiency work that we do out in the community. I mean, it's not everything is home energy 101 for us.
Hmm.
And I know SEMCO and the other agencies that are around energy are doing the same thing. But yeah, it's not a problem if they try it themselves first. For us, it's like they don't have to have a certain amount of energy use or inefficiency to start the program. So that's kind of what we're hoping they get to, is trying it out themselves. If they do it on their own first, that's great.
And shout out to your home energy expo you have every year, so people obviously
Yeah,
come and learn. And I've talked to a lot of people there myself, so that always seems like a great way to educate people to have those. I know some cities do electrification expos or conferences, so yeah.
yeah, I know Ann Arbor's good with those kind of expo meetings as well. But I think just to give you an idea of the impact that has for something like this program,
Yeah.
we're on pace for about 300 home visits a year. And we got 90 people signed up at an expo event that we did a couple weeks ago. So
Oh, great.
big impact there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, speaking of Ann Arbor, we do have Julie Roth on as well, our board member, and I wanted to um, kick it to you in a second, Julie, but I want to turn to the question. There were some questions about renewable energy coming up. So, first here, I don't know if you can just tell us a little bit more about how your program interacts with promoting, I'd assume
Mhm.
really at this point, solar and batteries.
Yeah, so we have another partner that's Solar United Neighbors, and they offer kind of like bulk purchasing of
Hmm.
solar systems. And so it's a discounted rate. And so we have, through the program, we have like education sessions about it. We encourage individuals to sign up for that. If they're interested, they don't have to commit to anything. We also have partners with the Community Solar Avenue. And so we encourage individuals to look into that. That's also, as we know, a renter option for
Mhm.
individuals. So those are right now, but Maryland, the state will be opening in 2025 a Maryland Solar Access Program. And so to increase the accessibility for solar, the income limit is, I believe it's like something about 150 area median income. So it's very high for to get access to solar. So we plan on integrating that as well.
That's great. And Andrew, how about over there at, BPW in the city? Are there any solar promotion within this or opportunities?
Nothing promotion that's related to 101. We kind of wanted to stay away from solar as a step one solution because we think there's a lot of low cost, no cost things people should be aware of first. Nothing against solar as a next step, but we didn't want people to think that was the only way to be efficient was to put solar panel on your house.
Sure. Yeah. And Julie, obviously you've led some solar programs there a little bit in Ann Arbor. Can you just share with us what success you've had, briefly for those thinking about renewable energy?
Yeah, for sure. We find that, well, I have found that while what you say, Andrew, is absolutely 100% true, and by the way, I am like the president of the Holland fan club, so thank you for the work that you guys are doing. You didn't know you had a whole fan club, but anyway, I have found that solar tends to be kind of a gateway drug for a lot of people into energy efficiency, whereas energy efficiency is just so much less sexy when we, try to do power hours and talk about this stuff. Whereas you do a town hall or a meeting or neighborhood meeting about solar and people come and then you can feed them the peas and carrots of like rim joists and it works. So our solarized program is a little bit different than most solarized programs, which tend to be sort of large, right? And run by like Solar United Neighbors, which is fantastic. But we've had a ridiculous amount of success kind of almost on accident, not due to any genius on our part, but due to low capacity at the beginning of the program. We designed it as more of a grassroots program where an individual in the community who is looking to go solar gets multiple bids. We've pre-negotiated tiered discounts based on volume with area installers, and that community member invites their own neighborhood, book group, church group, friends, family to a meeting. We come to the meeting as city representatives, help them organize this, and talk about solar and rim joists and energy efficiency and the grid and everything else. And then we help administer the group buy. So people, if they are interested, okay, maybe they're a little reluctant, they're not sure. If you just want an estimate, just tell me, and then I'll write your name down, and then we coordinate it and make sure that we have weekly meetings with the installers so no one's dropping balls and people are getting good customer service. And we hold them open for like 2 months. And we're seeing an adoption rate that's insane. I put a link in the chart, but in a group buy, we may have 40 people attend. About 30 of them will get estimates for solar, and we have about 40-45% sales ratio from people who get estimates to people who actually, which is remarkable for installers and allows them to actually pass on those savings to the residents because they're not working so hard to attract business. So it's been really fun and successful. We create a whole toolkit to be able to deliver this to other communities who want sort of a program in a box. So if folks are interested, we share widely and freely.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Julie, for jumping on real quick and sharing with that and giving an update. I appreciate it. So, real quick, Andrew, obviously you hinted to where the Homes Inflation Reduction Act rebates are in our state. They're in a pilot there, and you all are selected to do that, and you're trying to figure that out. I guess, Tier, maybe you could just quick update us where your state's at with that progress that at least you're aware of. I understand it's run by the state energy offices, so you only know so much.
Yeah, no, we do partner with the state in their Office of Home Energy Programs. And so right now, my understanding is they have adopted a limited income energy efficiency program, which expands their income eligibility for who can access energy efficiency as well. We have the Empower program, which is our kind of utility-based program that if you live within a utility provider's service area, then essentially you can get like a little box of energy efficient things, whether it's light bulbs, like guide to energy efficiency, air stripping, or not air stripping, air sealing, things such as that. And you can get I believe $100 energy audit. So I do know that those avenues are there too. And then as I mentioned, we have our whole home energy efficiency program, which is through the Maryland Energy Administration, through the state. And then we have our more federal funded programs from the IRA. So,
yeah. And there was a last question in here, I guess, Andrew. The question is kind of either maybe, yeah, what are the kind of top 3 things you're seeing out there as far as measures? Do you just have a sense of that as far as the biggest impacts go?
Yeah, we don't track it on the per measure, but I think just the stuff in the kit gets used on a pretty regular basis. We kind of try and circle back and ask people after the fact. And I think if you give it to them and put them in their hand and it's no cost to them, that can't get a better payback than that. So
Sure. And how about Tier with you all? I mean, obviously you're expanding beyond energy savings here, but like, what are some of the things you're seeing that trend the most that at least people are reporting that they do?
Light bulbs.
Yeah.
Light bulbs are a biggie. I would say air sealing or sealing around windows and doors, and then HVACs, HVAC.
Are you seeing that more heat pump conversions these days?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say a lot more individuals are trying to convert to heat pump and electrification. There we go.
Yeah. And I know, Julie, obviously the Ann Arbor Energy Advisor program is kind of new, but are you all seeing a kind of a hint as to what kind of measures people are interested in?
Yeah, it is kind of new. This is a free program for anyone who lives in Ann Arbor, where we have a home energy advisor who will do either an in-person or virtual walkthrough of your home and ultimately deliver you what we're calling a path to zero, which is, over time, how you get to full decarbonization of your home. So there may be things you can do right now and things you can do if your water heater is looking on its last legs in about 2 years. You should plan ahead and think about that in advance so that you're not stuck with an emergency replacement, things like that. So we're still getting a sense. We're waiting 5 or 6 months between the assessment and following back up with people to see what kind of measures they're doing. But we do have that in combination with we have our own rebates that the city is offering that are funded by our climate action millage. We voted to increase our own property taxes to fund local climate action. So we're giving it right back to people in the form of rebates. So what we are tracking is permits. It's not a perfect system because not everyone permits everything they should.
Right.
But we can get a sense of permits for heat pumps, permits for heat pump water heaters, panel upgrades, things like that, and how many rebates people are taking. So we'll get there. Probably in another 6 months, we'll have some data about actual impact of the programs.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're at our time here, and so we're going to wrap up and just, I guess, Andrew, real quick, where can people go to learn more about the Holland 101 program?
Yeah, you can go to hollandenergyfund.org or you can just search Holland Energy Fund.
Okay. And Tia, where can people go to learn more about the Green Homes Challenge?
FrederickGreenChallenge.org.
All right. And Julie, I know there's a lot of stuff going on there. Where can people go to kind of see what's happening in Ann Arbor?
Yeah, if you go to our website, which is a2gov.org/sustainability, sign up for our newsletter, and you can also read old newsletters, full of information.
Yeah, great. Well, huge thanks to you all, Andrew, Tira, our speakers here today, and Julie for also hopping on here last minute to give some updates and share. Thank you all for joining us. This is the last session for this year, so have a wonderful New Year's. Happy holidays to you all. We will catch you on the 8th of January. So catch you then. Take care. Be well, everyone. Bye.
Be sure to check out all of our courses available online that you can watch anytime and anywhere to pick up your CEUs. Before you go, make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube to get weekly updates and stay up to date on green building science courses, webinars, and home tours. Thanks again.